So 51% of the banks out there have tightened their loan standards. And that's as of last year. This year, it's gotten even worse. Banks are very difficult to get loans from. You're seeing this all through the real estate industry. A lot of real estate investors are complaining that they can't get out of the hard money loans they're in. A lot of the banks out there don't want to lend money. The Fed has one job, and that's monetary policy. And all I can tell you is right here, 2024, we are staring down the barrel of the next recession, maybe even the next depression. So let's just sum it up. If the banks don't want to lend, if they're tightening their loan standards, if they're pulling back the reins on how they put money out there, who stands to win in this? Where is the opportunity? The opportunity is you. That's right. The opportunity is the private lender. The private lender that can pick up the slack of where banks are leaving off. The private lender that can swoop in and lend money on deals when the deals are the best, which is during a slowdown in the economy, during a recessionary period. That's when the biggest opportunities happen. That's when private lenders win. My name's Chris Naugle, and this is What Now? What's next for you? So what we did, folks, is we took a look back into history. We looked at the dot-com crash, that recessionary period. We looked at the Great Recession of 2008, 9, 10, and some of you would say it even went into 2015. We looked at who made the most amount of money during those periods. And we also looked at who lost the most. So it was a unique study and a very interesting topic, because if right now, right here, right now, July of 2024, we are starting to slow down. The economy is slowing down. You're seeing it, you're hearing about it, and I've even covered it in other videos. Matter of fact, I did a video looking at the last 5 presidential elections, focusing on the presidential elections where a candidate is running for a second term, and we looked at what happened to the markets and the economy. And every single time, the market went up, up, and up, right to the election. And after the election, can you guess what happened? That's right. It tanked. The markets went down, the economy slowed down. So if that's where we're headed, where do you want to be? Well, I will tell you where you want to be. You want to be a private lender. So I'm going to start with a quick story. It was a decade ago, almost to the day. I was sitting with my wife at a big event, and the main speaker that was on the stage, he was talking about things that were very relative to me. And then he said this. He said, the ultimate in real estate is being the bank. When I heard that, I was right at the early stage of our flipping career. I had been doing real estate for a few years, and we were transitioning into flipping, and I listened to this icon on the stage say, the ultimate in real estate is being the bank. And what he was talking about is what we're going to talk about today, and that is you being the bank. You being a private lender, and you capitalizing when everybody else is riding the roller coaster down, you're going to ride the roller coaster up. Now here's why. You see, being a private lender for me wasn't my first choice. I wanted to be a real estate investor, and I did. And in my time while we were flipping houses, including when we had the TV show, we flipped 270 plus houses. We had 91 doors, 91 rentals, and all of that was going great until it wasn't. You see, flipping houses requires a lot of cash flow. So that got me into other things. But also, as we started flipping, we started making money. And as we made money, we wanted to then have that money work for us. So outside of the infinite banking concept, which I learned in 2014, I was using that, but I also wanted to start lending money. Because remember, the ultimate in real estate isn't flipping houses, isn't buying apartment buildings, isn't wholesaling. What is it? It's being the bank. And what I saw while I was doing that is I saw all the private lenders and the hard money lenders that I borrowed money from for all of our real estate. They usually made more money than we did, but they did none of the work we did. You see, all they did is found a way to capitalize and to make their money work for them. That's exactly what they did. So without taking you any further down the rabbit hole, here's how it ended. My wife and I decided we weren't going to continue flipping houses after the pandemic. We went into a mode where we sold off most of our rentals because it just wasn't conducive here in New York to own rentals when the government and the state was telling your tenants that they didn't need to make payments. They didn't have to pay their rent. And while I did that, I didn't have this totally figured out, but I sold off all those rentals and we had some money. We had a good chunk of money. And I wanted to be the bank. I wanted to lend that money out because I had learned that the person making the money was always the lender, the person being the bank. So you would think that's a simple thing, right? Or at least that's what I thought. So what I started doing is I started going on Facebook and all these other places and I started saying, putting myself out there. I'm a private lender. I'm looking to lend some money at between 10 and 12% because that's where rates were then. Today I'm around 15%, but that's where I was back then. I started going to RIAs and saying, hey, does anyone need money? And a ton of people at RIAs and on Facebook, of course they need money. And what they would do is they would hand me a piece of paper. Sometimes it would just have a handwritten address on it. It would just have an address of a property on it. And I would look at it and I would be like, what is this?
And they would say, well, you said you're lending money. That's a property that I need to borrow money from. Would you lend me $200,000 on this?
And I'm like, what, on the paper? No, on the house, the address. You know, just look it up. Let's pause right there. If I'm the person with money and I'm the lender, do you think I want to do all your due diligence? Do you think I want to go out there and research your property? Do you think I want to go out and pull the appraisal and pay for the appraisal on your property? No, no, no. Thou with the gold makes the rules. So I then started teaching these borrowers how to actually present a deal. And I created this thing called the perfect loan proposal. I also created an entire training curriculum all around this. We called it the 4-week masterclass. I even wrote a book, Private Money Guide, all in the effort of trying to educate borrowers and lenders at the same time, but mostly borrowers, how to present a deal to me, to the lender. You see, I had borrowed money from so many people and so many banks that I had learned every time I go into a bank with a deal, I better come prepared. And what are they going to look for? They're going to look for all the stuff that none of these borrowers gave me. Things like they want to see an appraisal, an as-is and an as-complete. They're going to want to see personal financial statements. They're going to want to see comps. They're going to want to see photos. They're going to want to have all of that presented to them in a very uniform way. But all these borrowers, after I put it out there that I wanted to lend money, just gave me an address or a one-pager. There was clearly a disconnect. So one day, I reached down into myself and I said, you know what, there's got to be a solution. If a book and a training course aren't enough, I got to find the place. I got to find the source. And that source had to exist, right? Wrong. Hey folks, real quick, let me just pause this whole money talk. What I'd like to ask you to do is hit that little button, that subscribe button, and right above there's a bell. I want you to smash that bell. All that bell does is notifies you every time I put a new video out. And if you do smash that bell, you will learn how you can be your own bank and how you can become the next private lender. That place that I was looking for was a marketplace. I thought there should be just one place where all the borrowers could go to put their deals up, complete deals, that then I could just go on and I could almost just flip through them. Think Tinder, swipe left, right? I'm just swiping through deals. I find one I like, swipe right, boom. Now I'm communicating with the borrower because I like the deal. I know, like, and understand that deal. That didn't exist. So I sat down one day and I did exactly what I'm going to show you. I drew a circle on a piece of paper. And then on that circle, I drew two boxes, one on the left, one on the right. And the reason I drew two boxes is, to me, this solution to this problem that I had was so simple. It was like a coin, like a quarter. There are two sides to a quarter. There's heads. The heads to me represented this side, which was people that had money. So I'm just going to write that, people with money. And I knew that people with money had a similar problem to me, and that was They wanted to make more money. So number one, I identified over on this side people that had money, and I identified their problem. They want to make more money. Then what I did is on this other box over here, I just drew another dollar sign, and I said this is people who need money. And I knew that their problem was if they didn't get money, they lost their opportunity, which was their deal. So people that need money existed here. Now what I've identified is I have literally broken the United States of America, or the world, into two different people. And there really are only two different types of people out there. There are people that have money, and there are people that need money. Any questions? So my goal was to solve both of their problem with one place. And that was, to me, so simple. Because a coin has a heads and a tails. And the heads represented people that had money. The tails represented people that needed money. But you see, if you think a coin only has two sides, you are missing the most important side of a coin, and that is the edge. What I did is I dove deep into this circle to find the edge of the coin. The edge of the coin represented community, represented education, represented a process. So what I did is I created a circle, and I just put a community to that circle to bring people with money together with people that need money. Now that was my solution to the problem. That solution today is known as privatemoneyclub.com. The first, and today the only, dating site for money. What do I mean by that? I don't mean you go there to date, people that have money. I mean you go there if you have money to make your money work for you at a higher rate, at a lower risk. And I then had to, in order for them people to have their problem solved, we need to have the deals. The people that have the deals, all those people that were writing it down on a paper, all the people I've educated through my course and my book, Private Money Guide. I needed them to put their deals up there, and I needed them to articulate their deals in the way that I would want the deal presented. And all I then did is I said, people with money, are you ready? People that need money, are you ready? Let's go! And I brought them together in a community, and I didn't get in the way. I didn't stand in the middle and say, hey, if you want to lend money to this person, I need a percentage. No, I just said, you two go at it. You do your deal, you make your money. I'm not going to get in the middle, because that's where a lot of people make the mistake. They get in the middle. They get in the way because they're always thinking that everything they do, they need to get paid for it. But the secret to all of this is giving. All I needed to do was provide a place where people's problems could be solved. And going back to the beginning of this video, what's coming is probably a recession, is a slowdown in the economy. And during that slowdown, just like in prior recessions, from the dot-com to the Great Recession, the ones that stand to make the most amount of money are the ones who have the money to lend, because the banks will freeze up, the hard money institutional lenders, they will pull back and restructure and not be as easy to get money from. So where's that leave the investor? The person who needs the money, that leads them to the only path that will help them get the deals when the economy goes down. And that is privatemoneyclub.com. Here's the unique thing. When everything slows down and we enter a recession, will the price of real estate go up or down? Right, down. All assets will deflate. And when the price of real estate goes down, what does that present? A huge opportunity. It presents a huge opportunity for investors to buy properties at a steal. Pennies on the dollar in some case. And the worse the recession, just like the Great Recession, the bigger the opportunity. Imagine if you could buy a house that is today valued at $500,000, if you could buy it at $250,000, and it didn't need a lot of work. Would that be a good deal? Now, I know some of you are like, well, that depends on a lot of things, but let's just put all things aside and just say, yes, it's a good deal. You stand to make a lot of money. However, because of the economy, that house has lost value. Because of the economy, people will lose houses. They will not be able to make payments. There will be foreclosures. The only ones who win in this game are the opportunists who go out there and find the deals, who have the network of money. And that network of money will not be what it is today, which is today maybe banks or institutional hard money lenders. That network that people will need is private lenders like you and me. People who have their old 401ks moved into a self-directed IRA. People who have a lot of money sitting in their private banking systems, those specially designed whole lives. People who just have money sitting on the sidelines waiting to deploy that money because they got out at the top, which is what you should be looking at doing right now, because the economy and the markets are cooling and they're going to get a lot worse. So if you want to take your gains off the table and do what Warren Buffett always says, which is buy low, you already did that, but sell high. And number 3 is so you don't lose money. You cannot continue to build wealth if you do not buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. And that is what I'm teaching you how to do. And the best way to do that, the best way to eliminate losing money, is to look at deals that have collateral. None better than the real estate market, because real estate is one of the best assets to collateralize your money. Because if all things go bad in a deal, you are still sitting in first position. That is, if you're the first position lien holder, which you should be. That is the only way I lend right now, because I watched Talladega Nights. And when Ricky Bobby's dad said, son, if you're not first, you're last, that made a lot of sense to me. And I said, you know what? You're right. If I'm not first in a lending deal, then I'm last. And there you have it. So folks, we're coming on to some hard times. Hard times will create strong people. Those strong people that will benefit the most will be you and me, will be the private lenders, the ones who got out at the top, the ones that people talk about. How did they know? How did they know? How did we know that the economy was going to soften, that we were going to enter a recession, that the opportunity was going to be in being the bank? It's simple. We studied history, just like I said. Folks, if you liked this video, you are going to love this one right here, Private Money Club.